I lay frozen in my childhood bedroom, my body locked in place, my mind screaming while my lungs barely worked. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. I could only listen. My heart was racing even though my body would not respond, and panic spread through me as seconds stretched endlessly. Footsteps crossed the hallway. Slow, deliberate. Each step sounded intentional, as if whoever was walking already knew exactly what they were about to do. The door didn't close. It stayed slightly open. From the darkness outside, my sister whispered calm and steady, "Just make it look natural." Her voice carried no fear, only control, which made everything worse. A man I had never seen before stepped into the room. He leaned over me and checked my pulse. That was when I realized something far worse than death was happening, because whoever he wasn't there to save me. I lay frozen in my childhood bedroom, unable to move, unable to scream, my body heavy like it no longer belonged to me. I could hear everything. Footsteps in the hallway, slow, careful, intentional. The door didn't shut, it stayed slightly open. From the other side, my sister's voice whispered calm and controlled, "Just make it look natural." A man stepped into the room, a stranger. He leaned over my bed and checked my pulse like this was routine. That's when I understood the truth. This wasn't an accident, and whoever he was waiting for next wasn't me. It was family who needed me gone. My name is Rachel. I'm 37 years old, and for most of my life, I learned how to disappear without leaving the room. I learned early that being quiet made me less noticeable and less troublesome. I live in Virginia now, far from the house where I grew up. I work as a senior data analyst. It's a quiet job that rewards patience and precision. I like numbers because they don't care who you are. They don't play favorites. If something doesn't add up, the truth eventually shows itself. My family never worked that way. On the surface, we look normal. A neat house in a quiet Pennsylvania town. Family photos lining the hallway. Holiday dinners that smelled like roasted turkey and burnt rolls. If you walked in once a year, you'd think everything was fine. But inside that house, there were roles, and mine was always the extra. My father, Richard, liked control more than conversation. He spoke in conclusions, not questions. My mother, Gloria, learned long ago that silence kept the peace. And my younger sister, Lena, she was the center of gravity. Loud, charming, always sure the room was watching her. Growing up, I learned early that praise wasn't evenly distributed. If Lena did well, it was proof of good parenting. If I did well, it was luck or coincidence or quietly ignored. The only person who ever really saw me was my grandmother, Eleanor. She used to let me sit with her at the kitchen table long after everyone else left. She'd slide a mug of tea toward me and say, "You notice things that matters." Those moments were the only times I felt visible. When she died, the house felt colder, emptier. At her funeral, I remember watching my father's face. No tears, just relief. At the time, I told myself, grief looks different on everyone. Before she passed, Grandma Eleanor gave me a small tin box. "Don't open this in front of your father," she said. "When you're truly on your own, you'll understand." I never opened it. I thought it was sentimental, harmless. I didn't yet understand how much she was trying to protect me. Years later, when my mother had knee surgery, I drove back to Pennsylvania to help. 2 weeks off work, just long enough to slip back into old habits, cooking, cleaning, staying out of the way. A few days before I left Virginia, I received a letter about unreported income, a large amount, money I'd never seen. I brushed it off as a mistake. I wish I hadn't. Because that letter wasn't an error. It was the first crack in something my family had been hiding for years. The first few days back in that house felt familiar in the worst way. I woke up early to make coffee. My mother barely touched it. I helped her to the couch, changed her bandages, sorted her pills into neat little rows for the week. My father hovered in doorways, offering instructions instead of help. Lena stopped by twice, both times dressed like she was heading somewhere better. She took photos with Mom on the couch, arm draped just right, smile angled for the camera. Taking care of her, she posted. Then she was gone within 20 minutes. No one questioned it. They never did. By the fourth night, exhaustion sat deep in my bones. The house had a way of draining you quietly, like a slow leak. You don't notice until you're empty. That evening, Lena appeared in my doorway, holding a mug. "You've been doing a lot," she said softer than I'd heard her sound in years. "This will help you sleep." The tea smelled faintly sweet, chamomile maybe, or something pretending to be. I hesitated just long enough to feel foolish for hesitating. She was my sister. This was my childhood home. I took the mug and drank it. Within half an hour, my legs went first. It wasn't dramatic, just a strange heaviness, like my body had decided it was done listening to me. I tried to stand and didn't make it past the edge of the bed. My arms followed, then my fingers. Panic surged, but my mouth wouldn't cooperate. I was awake, fully awake, trapped. Through the narrow opening of my door, I saw a sliver of hallway light. A shadow passed, then stopped. Lena's voice floated in low and controlled. "Just do what Dad asked." The door didn't open all the way. It stayed slightly ajar. Footsteps crossed the threshold. He moved carefully, like someone who didn't want to leave marks. I couldn't turn my head, but I felt the mattress dip beside me. Two fingers pressed against my neck, checking my pulse. "She's still breathing," the man muttered. This wasn't supposed to hit her this hard. My stomach dropped. "Lower your voice," Lena snapped. "She won't remember anything." I wanted to scream. I wanted to fight. Instead, I stared at the ceiling, watching a crack I remembered from when I was 12. Dad said, "This is the only way," Lena continued. "Once the hearing happens, it won't matter." Hearing. That word cut through the fog sharper than anything else. This wasn't about me resting. This wasn't concern. This was a plan. They left the room. The door clicked softly shut. And in that silence, something inside me shifted. This wasn't sibling rivalry. This wasn't neglect. This was deliberate. My family wasn't trying to protect me. They were trying to erase me. And whatever that upcoming hearing was, I knew one thing with absolute clarity. If I stayed in that house until morning, I wouldn't leave it on my own terms. Time stretched in strange ways after they left. Minutes felt like hours. Hours slipped by without edges. The drug loosened its grip slowly, starting with my fingertips. A faint tingling, pins and needles. Pain I welcomed because it meant I was coming back. I kept my eyes closed. I slowed my breathing. I needed them to believe I was still gone. Sometime later, the door creaked again, lighter footsteps this time. Lena's perfume reached me before her voice. She stood there longer than necessary, watching, waiting. "Still out," she murmured to herself. The door closed. When I was sure she was gone, I opened my eyes. The room was dim, lit by streetlight bleeding through old curtains. My body felt like it had been dragged across gravel, but I could move barely. That's when I saw it. On the floor beside my bed, half hidden near the nightstand, was a small white card. I slid off the mattress, my legs shaking, and picked it up with clumsy fingers. A name, a title, nothing else. A private investigator. My heart started racing again, this time with clarity instead of panic. Lena wasn't clever enough to bring a stranger into this. She followed instructions. She didn't design plans. Someone else had. Before I could think further, I heard my father's voice echo down the hallway. Sharp, controlled, awake in a way that meant decisions had already been made. "Is it done?" he asked. A pause. "Good. The hearing soon. Keep her calm until then." Calm. My stomach turned. This wasn't about a night or a mistake. There was paperwork involved, timelines, a future where I didn't get to speak for myself. I waited until the house went quiet again. Getting dressed felt like moving underwater. Every sound felt too loud. Floorboards creaked like accusations. I slipped past my parents' room, past Lena's door, listening to her steady breathing on the other side. The front door opened with a soft click. Cold air hit my face. I didn't stop walking until I reached my car. I drove for 20 minutes before my hands stopped shaking enough to think. I pulled into a small roadside stop and sat there, engine off, breathing through the fog still clinging to my head. I took out the card and stared at it. Calling felt dangerous. Not calling felt worse. The phone rang 3 times before someone answered. Groggy at first, then alert when I said my name. You were in my room, I told him. You checked my pulse. Silence. You're awake, he said finally. You're not supposed to be. I heard everything, I replied. My sister, my father, the hearing. Another pause, heavier this time. Then you need to listen, he said, because what they're doing to you isn't a family issue. It's legal, and it's already in motion. I closed my eyes. For years, I'd believed being invisible kept me safe. That night, I understood the truth. It made me the easiest target, and if I wanted my life back, I wasn't going to get it by staying quiet anymore.